Welcome to Flawless Shoe Reviews. In this video I'm going to break down one of the most affordable shoes on the market, the Brooks Launch 11. For us, it's the best value shoe on the market for several reasons, not just the price point but the feel underfoot and the feel on top of the shoe. So if we talk about the midsole, they've updated it from the Launch 10, so they now have a DNA Flash Nitrogen-Tuned midsole rather than the DNA Loft midsole that we saw in the Launch 10. This feels completely different, and there's two different variations of this midsole. So we've got the version 1 in the heel, which is better for absorption, and then we've got version 2 in the forefoot, which Brooks feel is better for propulsion phase of the gait cycle. So it's a little bit springier, so it doesn't shock absorb as well as the rear, but it propulses you better in the forefoot. We definitely felt this on the foot. It was definitely a more comfortable feel than what we got in the Launch 10. It actually felt a bit similar to what we get in the Hoka Rincon 3 or the early stages of the Hyperion in the Brooks. So a really nice feel on the foot. You also have a really nice ground contact feel, so it didn't feel like those max stack shoes where you're a bit too far away from the ground, you can't really feel the grip underneath your foot. Excellent traction, and you get a really good responsive feel underfoot. They have made some other changes, so they've reduced the drop of the shoe from 10mm to 8mm, so you now have 35mm in the rear foot, 27 in the forefoot, but they have reduced the weight a little bit, so it comes in around 218 grams for a size 9 men's US. So that is a super light shoe, and it doesn't really feel like you're wearing a huge amount on your foot, especially with that nice ground contact and that really nice propulsion phase of the gait cycle. It's very much a classic neutral shoe. It has some very mild sidewalls on the inside and the outside of the shoe, has a mild posterior lateral heel bevel to help control that contact with the ground, and then it's got a relatively broad forefoot with some very mild sole flaring. It doesn't narrow too much in the midsole to help increase that contact with the ground, but other than that it's very much a classic neutral. On top we've got a really new designed upper in the engineered mesh, so it looks quite nice, but it's quite a thin upper, and that's part of what you get for a reduced price. It's got a semi-gusseted padded tongue on top, has a good lace lockdown, we really felt secure inside it, and it's got a mild to moderate stiff heel counter. So when we put our foot inside, it locked down nicely even before we tied the laces. Once we tied them up, it felt really secure on top of the shoe. Didn't feel like you were sliding from side to side when we were changing direction. It's got really good traction underneath. We went out on a couple of runs on wet surfaces, had no issues. I don't think it's ready for trails, but it's definitely good to go on wet surfaces, on tarmac and concrete, so plenty of grip there. So overall, for $120, and soon you'll probably be able to get it on discount, often we can get them closer to 100. This is definitely one of the best value shoes on the market. It's very hard to find in comparison. If you know of any, please leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, we've got links to pick the shoes up in the description. If you've got any questions on the shoes, let us know in the description. Personally, it was a true to size and length. Had a normal width in the toe box, but there is also a wide version in this as well, so it accommodates those of you with a wide foot. Otherwise, you can pick them up in the description. Any questions, leave them in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. Liking, sharing, subscribing is always appreciated.